The Political Compass is an online questionnaire that's supposed to show you where on the political spectrum that you fall. It's a 62-question test written by a British political journalist, and it is, as with all of these tests, pretty biased, and as such, of only a limited utility. Further, many of these questions, which only give you 4 options, strongly agree, disagree, and strongly disagree, really cannot be answered for many political positions, and the test taker has to really grit their teeth and just pick one. Lots of people post their political compass scores, but I never see how they answered the specific questions or why they made those choices, and that's why I'm going to do it this way. I've taken the test many times before, and I always get the same basic result, but since I was recently asked to retake the test, I thought I would make a video about the different questions and what's wrong with them as I go through. Please note, I'm leaving in all the original British spellings, so do us all a favor and don't leave comments telling me I misspelled words. As there are 62 questions, I'm going to split this into 3 videos so they don't get too ridiculously long. Let's get started. Since these questions are not numbered in the test, I'm not going to number them either, so I'm just going to give you what it says and then do my answer. If economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. Well, first off, it's not only inevitable, it's already in place, so that part of the question really is pointless. Besides, aren't transnational corporations made up of humans? Aren't their boards of directors made up of humans? Don't humans make the decisions? Then clearly they are already serving humanity, at least a particular subset of humanity. If you want to know if I think corporations should throw profit to the wind and just do things for everyone, everywhere? No. They exist to make money. That's their purpose in existing. Therefore, I'm going to have to give a strongly disagree here. I'd always support my country, whether it was right or wrong. Well, not just no, but hell no. I support my country, or any country for that matter, insofar as they actually do something worth supporting. They are not automatically good because I live there. They make a lot of mistakes. They get my support when they do something worthwhile, and they do not when they do not. Another strongly disagree. No one chooses his or her country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. Actually, I agree with this statement. I think it's also foolish to be proud of your race, or your hair color, your eye color, or your gender, or anything else that you have no direct control over. When you're taking pride for something, it should be pride for something that you actually do. That doesn't mean you can't be proud of specific things that your country does, or that you do for your country, but just a blanket pride for a piece of land your mother dropped you on, not a chance. I strongly disagree. Our race has many superior qualities compared to other races. This might actually be true. Science has shown that different racial groups do some things better than others and do some things worse than others. However, if we're going to just ask questions to see how well read in the literature you are, it's kind of a pointless test, so let's break this down. An Olympic decathlete is clearly going to be better than I am when it comes to running a race. Does that make them superior to me? No. Somebody 7 feet tall is certainly taller than me. Does that make them superior? Nope. I probably have traits where I'm better than they are. Does that make me superior? No, it does not. Therefore, this really is a pointless question and can't really be answered with one of the 4 choices given. But since you aren't given a way to opt out, I'm going to have to go with agree just for the science, not because it means anything. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Now, there just isn't enough information given here, making it another useless question. Whether a person or a country is the enemy of my enemy doesn't have any bearing on whether they have my best interests at heart or whether we have compatible goals or anything else. This is just another question I'd skip if I could, but to balance out the last bad question, I'm just going to throw in a disagree. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. Okay, justified by whom? Any nation that takes military action always feels that such action is justified, and any nation that gets attacked by another country, they always feel that the action is unjustified. Again, this is a question with an annoying lack of details that makes it utterly pointless. As far as international law is concerned, though, I don't think that has anything whatsoever to do with whether something is justified. If a country performs a terrorist attack on my nation, and I retaliate, Even though some international court has declared that such retaliation is against the law, I don't think that has anything to do with whether my country thinks the retaliation is justified. Therefore, I'm going to have to answer strongly agree. There is now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. Now, this is something I strongly agree with. There was a time when television networks felt it was their social duty to report on the news and inform the public. They didn't do it as a way to make money, although certainly they did show commercials, and they did pay their own expenses. But news shows weren't judged by their ratings, but by their quality. Today, though, it's all about money and ratings, and if they can get more people to tune in by slanting their news coverage, virtually all networks will do it, no questions asked. Now, I haven't done any research on this, but it doesn't seem to me that the nightly news of 30 years ago was pulling the same kind of biased crap that Fox News and CNN are doing today. They're not telling you what's going on. They're telling you what's going on and trying to fit it into a larger narrative. They want you to know what it means in a larger context, even if it really doesn't mean anything. There's a lot of scare tactic involved, and that's a horrible thing overall. Strongly agree. People are ultimately divided more by class than by nationality. No, actually people are divided more by culture and ideology than anything else, and I could also throw religion in there, although since I'm trying to make this an apples-to-apples comparison, people in the same socioeconomic strata, people living in close proximity, they do tend to have similar religious views. I know the test is trying to get you to pick between the two, but since neither of them are all that divisive, I guess I have to give it a strongly disagree. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. The two are really linked. So the more you control one, the more you control the other, at least to a certain degree. I think both are equally important, and you cannot really have a healthy fiscal situation unless both are controlled. It means nothing if you have zero inflation if nobody's working. But likewise, it means nothing if you have complete employment, but out of control inflation. Again, they really want you to pick between the two choices, and I can't really answer the question, but have no choice. I'm going with strongly disagree because it's not more important, they're both equally important. Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulation. That's a complete non sequitur. Who says corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment? There are plenty of corporations who do so, mostly because they think the good publicity will make them some more money, but it's still voluntary. Granted, there are some corporations who will not, just like there are some people who will not, so we have to place minimum standards into law and hold those that will not meet those standards accountable. I'll go with agree, but to test how the question is phrased. From each according to his ability to each according to his need is a fundamentally good idea. Oh good, Karl Marx. Not a chance in the world. Marxism simply doesn't work and has failed absolutely everywhere that it's been tried. It's funny that the people with more abilities and more power always seem to have higher needs than everyone else, and they have first place at the feeding trough while everyone else starves. No thanks. Strongly disagree. It's a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now a bottled, branded consumer product. Why? If people are willing to buy water, why shouldn't an industry spring up that will sell it to them? That's the very basis of capitalism. There are even air bars out there that will let you sit for a couple of minutes and breathe purified air for a price. Of course, no one's requiring people to breathe expensive air or drink expensive water, so I have no idea why this is even a problem. Strongly disagree. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold. Why not? Like any other commodity, it's up to sale to the highest bidder. Welcome to capitalism. If you want land, you'd better be prepared to earn it or pay someone else who did earn it a fee for parking your backside on their property. Strongly disagree. It's regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society. So what? If someone can make a legal living doing that, more power to them. Clearly, it's a necessary job because there's money in it. Besides, most people don't quote-unquote contribute to society in their jobs anyway. How much of a contribution is it to flip burgers at McDonald's? What grand social benefits does a secretary make? Sometimes, a job is just a job. Strongly disagree. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. As much as I don't like the fact, it is true that protectionism can be and often is necessary, especially when there are so many places around the world where the standard of living is so much lower than in the West. I'm not talking about slavery, but if people in some third world country are willing to work for $1 an hour because where they live, the average wage is 50 cents an hour, and back home the required wage is $20 an hour, companies are going to go where the best profit is. Again, companies exist to make money. That harms the economy back home, though, because shipping jobs overseas doesn't bring the wages there up, at least not in the short term. It brings wages here down. I'm fine with requiring companies that use overseas labor to follow U.S. labor, environmental, and safety laws, thus raising the bar overseas. So, yes, I agree. The only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver a profit to its shareholders. Companies are not part of society and thus have no social responsibility. Companies in and of themselves are just businesses. Companies are in business to make money, and corporations are in business to make money for their shareholders. So absolutely, strongly agree. The rich are too highly taxed. Most of the time, yes. The idea that people have so much money that they can never spend it all is irrelevant. I have so much air I can never breathe it all. That doesn't mean I want to give you half of it. They earned their money. They are entitled to the product of their labor. Maybe instead of complaining that the rich have too much money, the poor ought to get off their asses and work harder. Strongly agree. Those with the ability to pay should have the right to higher standards of medical care. Well, damn straight they should. They should also get better cars, bigger houses, and fancier clothes. They earned that right by earning more money. That's not to say the poor shouldn't have access to decent care, but they shouldn't get government handouts for all the big-ticket toys either. Strongly agree. Governments should penalize businesses that mislead the public. Well, that's called fraud, and it's illegal, so yes, government should penalize anyone, businesses or individuals that defraud the public. Strongly agree. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multinationals to create monopolies. We already have those laws in place to stop companies from creating monopolies. Of course, there's a difference between a monopoly and a successful business. A monopoly stops other potential competitors from setting up shop. Amazon, for example, is not a monopoly, even though they are by far the largest in their particular field. They are so large because they are very, very good at what they do, and the public has rewarded this excellence with their hard-earned dollars. You can always go somewhere else if you don't like Amazon, and you can always start your own business if you want to compete with Amazon. But you have to compete with your own merits, not because you somehow deserve to be successful like Amazon is. I'm going to agree with the caveat that this is a pointless question that was decided more than a century ago. The freer the market, the freer the people. Depending on what you mean by a free market, yes. A free market is not anarchy. It's not completely unregulated. People cannot do whatever they want to do to whoever they want to do it to. It's surprising how many people I see who think that no laws of any kind are the only way to be free. That's like saying I can't be free unless I can walk up to you on the street and blow your face off. That's okay. That's not any freedom any rational people need. So I'm going to agree, but not based on anarchy. So that's part 1. Next time, I'll get into some more questions and we'll see where I score on the test. If you have any comments on any of the things I've said, please leave them below. As always, like and subscribe, yada yada yada, and I'll be back with more, hopefully useful and entertaining videos.